right, let's take a look exactly at some photos of the late congressman. They were shared by Klein High School, where he was a senior class president. And also a valedictorian back in 1973. And according to his yearbook, Turner was so involved in his high school that he earned the nickname Mr. KHS. The city reflects on the legacy of a leader who truly cared for his community.
Good evening. I'm Danette K. Davis with K. Davis in the Community Foundation. This evening we're doing a very special Trending Tuesdays, one that you don't want to miss. We could not let this week pass without honoring Congressman Sylvester Turner. So we grabbed our special guest, stopped them in their tracks, interrupted their busy schedules to ask them to share their thoughts. So thank you, host Jeff Boney, Dr. James Douglas, former Congresswoman Erica Lee Carter, and Bishop James Dixon. We knew you'd say yes.
Greetings, everyone. Jeffrey L. Boney here, and you're tuned into another Trending Tuesdays. Currently in Washington, D.C. I can't be physically present with you once again on tonight, but wanted to share some words with you and talk about something and someone who is so important to not only the city of Houston, the state of Texas, but to this nation. Someone who made such a tremendous impact and will be sorely missed once we got word of his passing. I'm talking about none other than the Honorable Sylvester Turner. In the Bible, there's often referred to portion of scripture found in Matthew 25 and 23, and it reads, "Well done, thou good and faithful servant." That portion of scripture, it's normally in response to a master who had 3 servants. And he gave the servants some talents. And he found one of those servants worthy of being praised because of his faithfulness in carrying out his responsibilities and refusing to sit on his talents the master bestowed upon him. One such public servant who meets the Matthew 25-23 criteria and who effectively used all of their talents that the master bestowed upon him recently gained his wings and was the embodiment of being a good and faithful servant until their passing. I'm talking about none other than the Honorable Sylvester Turner.
When I got the news, I was shocked. In fact, the chair of the faculty senate brought his phone to my exam and showed me the email that he had received, and I thought he was kidding. Because I had talked to Sylvester a few days before, and he was upbeat and happy and all of that, and so it was just a shock that he died so suddenly, because he appeared to be in good health the last time that I talked to him. I guess I met Sylvester first a little after he graduated from law school. He was working for Benson and Elkins. And we created a course in trial simulation, and the purpose of the course was to teach students how to try a case from opening argument to closing argument. And so we wanted to hire a lot of practicing lawyers who could instruct our students in the art of litigation. And Sylvester was a very good litigator, so I hired him as one of our trial simulations professors. And I guess later in the early 90s, when he decided to run for mayor of the city of Houston, I got to know him really well because I worked real close with him in his campaign. He didn't win, he should have won, but there was some last minute shenanigans.
Hello, this is Erica Lee Carter. It is with sadness, but it is still my honor to speak on my dear brother, forever mayor, the Honorable Congressman Sylvester Turner. Dear friend to our family, beginning with my mother, the late great Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, Father Elwin, Brother Jason. We don't remember a time as children where we didn't know him. They started out at Fulbright and Jaworski, a top-tier law firm downtown Houston, toiling in the corporate realm, and then on weekends, evenings, spending time throughout the community, a variety of organizations from Houston Lawyers, the Urban League, NAACP, and those entrenched in the FOFO, his home neighborhood, and my mother on the South Side. They were always partners, not just political allies, but true friends who relied on one another, counseled one another, could laugh with one another, even dance. Some of my earliest memories are following my mother along through her many campaigns for judge, and they would be at events, banquets. He would speak as the keynote. She might get to give greetings, or vice versa. And I get to listen to their prolific oration, their recounting of poems and scripture merging with policy, and always a wonder to behold, but always with a smile. He was so astute, so intellectual, but could still be down to earth, which is not an easy combination to have. He never let Harvard get in the way of his heart, but he always used his mind to do outstanding legislation for our community as state rep for District 139. I was still a child when his first run for mayor, but I remember the energy, the excitement that we could have a black mayor, his commitment, how close he came to winning, and that he did it with a smile. He did it with a belief that we would overcome that barrier one day. He ran again. My mother was always on his team, always supporting him, there to rally him on. When she went to Congress, I just remember how often they would still work together, federal and state partnerships, making sure that the resources she got not only helped state, but helped all parts of her community. He loved doing things directly for Acres Homes. I loved going with my mother to the Juneteenth parade in Acres Homes that he started. He acknowledging when we found our true freedom, and his fun day in the park that he loved bringing smiles to children's faces.
This is Bishop James Dixon. For the past 40 years, Sylvester Turner and I have been friends, brothers, colleagues, working together. I was still on Fagan Street. Our church was on Fagan Street. Before we moved to Pinemont, that's when I met this young, talented, intellectual, charismatic guy named Sylvester Turner. And I was with him when he first ran for office, of course, and of course when he first ran for mayor. And when all the stuff happened, I was there. Minister Robert Muhammad and I, Abdul Muhammad, and I led the protest against the Houston Post and Channel 13 on behalf of Sylvester Turner being mishandled. Been with him ever since. He's been with our church every step of the way, every move we made. He's been our lawyer. We use his title company. Sylvester Turner has been a valuable contributor to our ministry in ways that are so intangible and yet so powerful. My children know him as Uncle Sylvester. Not mayor, not congressman, not state rep. They know him as Uncle. For me, I've lost a family member, and all of us are mourning, the city, the state, and the nation, the passing of the Honorable Sylvester Turner. My brother, we'll see you on the other side.
After 8 years as mayor and 27 years as a state representative, it was a career of highs and lows. He lost his first run for mayor in 1991, lost again in 2003, finally winning on his third try in 2015.
Let me just start off by saying, well, how sweet it is.
He had come a long way from his roots in Acres Homes. One of 9 children, his mother was a maid at the Rice Hotel, his father a commercial painter who died when Turner was 13. He showed promise early as senior class president at Klein High School and valedictorian. Then it was on to the University of Houston and Harvard Law School. After practicing law, he was elected to the Texas House of Representatives in 1988. Fast forward to the summer of 2024 and the sudden passing of Turner's close friend, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. Her death changed his mind about sitting on the sidelines. He would run for her congressional seat.
Only the passing of Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee at this critical time
would get you in.
would get me in.
Then I asked about his own bout with cancer in 2022.
Are you healthy enough to run for Congress?
Well, number one, I would not be running if I were not healthy.
Are you healthy enough?
And I am healthy enough. And being diagnosed with cancer doesn't mean you stop serving. It doesn't mean you stop living. It doesn't mean that you no longer have any work to do.
He often reflected on his rise from humble beginnings to become mayor of the fourth largest city, calling it a testament to what is possible in the city.
One of the things that happened in the last few months, first with the passing of Sheila Jackson Lee, and now with the passing of Sylvester Turner, it has kind of thrown the 18th congressional district in kind of a turmoil. I think people are trying to figure out what direction we go in. I know there's been a lot of discussion about whether the person who represents the 18th congressional district ought to be a seasoned politician or whether they ought to be somebody who is relatively young. I think given the fact that the last two people we've had have been seasoned politicians and they met their demise while they were sitting in Congress, I'm almost sure that the person who represents the 18th congressional district is going to be a much younger person.
When you think about who will go to Congress next to fill that seat that Congressman Turner held, that Congresswoman Lee held, of course, Congressman Craig Washington, and then before him, Congressman Mickey Leland, and before him, Congressman Barbara Jordan. Think about who's going to be an ally to Congressman Al Green. His courageous stand is being highlighted across the nation. Some, despairingly, but most people, especially in our community, see him as a heroic representative of our consciousness. But where were his partners? Who decided not to stand? Congressman Green mainly stood by himself. We've got to raise up people, send people into these political offices who have the courage to stand against a system that is oppressive and unjust and bigoted. Let's remember this now. Don't forget this. President Obama was heckled in his first State of the Union, but no one was escorted out and no one was censored. President Joseph Biden was heckled constantly during his State of the Union addresses. No one put out of the chamber, no one censored. But in this instance, a black man from Houston, from the 9th Congressional District, our friend and our brother, takes a stand and he is escorted out and censored and made an example of. This hour, like this, at such a time as this, we've got to make sure we unite to support the right people who will support us, even in an unpopular circumstance. That's what courageous leadership is all about.
Sylvester Turner leaves a tremendous legacy and a phenomenal life well lived, and he will forever be remembered by all who have had the opportunity to know him and who have benefited from his contributions, his wisdom, and his engagement. So on behalf of everyone who has had the opportunity to know you, who have witnessed your overall body of work, who have benefited from your outstanding public service, and on behalf of the Trending Tuesdays podcast, we join everyone else in proudly saying to you, sir, Sylvester Turner, well done, thy good and faithful servant. Well done, Sylvester Turner. Job well done. God bless you, and we'll see you on the next Trending Tuesdays. God bless.